Did you finish it?
I did, yeah.
What'd you think? Your thoughts first.
Yeah, well, it came to a slightly unexpected conclusion. I had no idea how many episodes it was going to run, and they had kind of thousands of miles left to go.
And suddenly they're done.
But suddenly they wrapped it up kind of quickly there. But yeah, still a nice show.
Nice show. I don't understand the bus at the end, though. Do you understand the bus? This is the big question out there. The bus. What about the bus?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that, but they needed to make a lot of miles in Mexico, and so they ended up modifying this bus to look like other kind of cargo carrying. For some reason, they modify school buses to carry cargo in Mexico and other countries down there. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was maybe because there were areas of Mexico that were kind of dangerous. So they were worried they wouldn't be able to make enough time just driving during the daytime. So they decided to modify this bus to kind of blend in with the surroundings so that they could make more time. So they kind of cheated a bit. They didn't drive the motorcycles the whole way. But I sort of gathered that's what it was for, to kind of, hide the motorcycles and make up more time.
Yeah, see, when they were going into Mexico, there was this massacre of, I believe, American Mormons, a family who was mistaken for somebody. This was in part of Mexico. I think that spooked them, and they had a security service working with them. I would have thunk that Central America would have been, the scary part. They didn't. They sort of breezed through Central America too. I think the best part of the series is below Ecuador, and I apologize to our Ecuadorian listeners, but they never really got to show a good side of Ecuador, and that's where my kid was supposed to go on a school trip until I said no, because it was gazillion dollars to go there. It's not like there's flights leaving where we live to go to Ecuador every day. You have to go through South America or something. I don't know. Or South America. I was going to say Antarctica. But, they spent like a whole episode working on the school bus. They never really said why. They said, we need a school bus, so we need to get it to go through Mexico. And they did all these modifications, and they were rushed, and it was interesting to watch. If you want to see a school bus remodeled, it was interesting. And then they said they went up through El Paso, and that was one of the most dangerous places to go, apparently. And that's when they got on the bikes. The last 5 minutes of the trip through Mexico, they got back on the bikes and went to... I'm not blaming them. I don't know the whole story, but they could have explained it better. Anyway, it is a great series. It's a great travel series. And I'm going to recommend for everyone to check out the Harley Davidson podcast, because they did 6 podcasts that just wrapped up on The Long Way Up. And the final episode, I believe, is episode 20. And it largely talks about the EV aspect of it and how much they liked the EVs, and how much, they talked about it being on the cusp that, of course they're going to charge faster. Until they got to America, you couldn't charge the Livewire motorcycles at the speed they're supposed to charge at a public charger. And that if they had that along the way. But ChargePoint installed, I don't know how many chargers all over the place in South America and all these different countries. They had electricians go down there, and they talked about the Rivian, because there was 2 Rivian trucks that were, electric prototype trucks that followed along, and they had to fix them. They had technicians a day behind traveling with them. And it was cool. And apparently, I didn't notice this in the last scene of the film, where they go into LA with a whole bunch of motorcyclists behind them, like, 100 or something. Well, apparently 15 of them that were immediately behind them were on live wires. I didn't know that. I missed that.
Oh, okay.
So so there was those were, by that time they had gotten to more production models. And what I'd really like to know is, what did they learn? What did Harley Davidson learn from this trip that they're now incorporating into the production model? Because I bet you they learned a few things.
Yeah, well, it's maybe dealt with a little bit on that podcast. Is it people from Harley Davidson?
It is, and they didn't really directly answer that question. Otherwise, I would have told you right now. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, they talked about the charging aspects more kind of in the first few episodes, and then I think, obviously they would have had charging issues the whole way, but they dealt with that mostly in the first few episodes, and then they glossed over it kind of after that, probably because they thought it was getting boring to constantly talk about charging issues. But it would have been a hassle to charge them the whole way.
They did say that they would charge up over lunch for an hour and get about 10% off of like 110 volts or something like that.
Yeah.
and they would top up whenever at border stations as well, because they had some of the border stations took hours to cross.
Yeah, yeah.
And they talked about how everything changed when you cross the border. It seems like you're not entering a different country, but then the architecture is completely different because they've had these borders for so long that suddenly the architecture is different. The color of the asphalt is different. The line markings are different. And yeah, I would love to take that trip. I'm getting a little too old now, but Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, some of those countries would be very interesting. And I had nieces that went down to Bolivia, to Machu Picchu, and did things. I couldn't believe it. I thought that must be very expensive, but they live in Calgary, so they probably have a direct flight down there or something better.
Yeah, yeah.